Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Not Just Politics podcast. Today is Tuesday, October 7th, and we are back in the studio after our summer break. I am joined today by returning guest, advisor at Braver Angels, author of I Never Thought of It That Way: How to Have Fearlessly Curious Conversations in Dangerously Divided Times, author and journalist Mónica Guzmán. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Carson, good to be back.
Good to see you. So, we're gonna just jump right into this here because there has been there's been no commentary on this show or from me about all of the events of September, including the assassination of Charlie Kirk. There is a question that you raised on social media to the Braver Angels community, which I really liked, and really just to everybody, which was something that people could use in conversations about the topic, which is, what are you afraid of us losing
Mhm.
as a result of what happened? And I'm wondering if you've ever had the opportunity to answer that question
Mm,
in conversations yourself.
mhm.
What are you afraid of us losing because of what's happened?
Mm. I have had the opportunity to reflect on that a good bit in conversations with other people and, frankly, with myself, because September was rough.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of that we're all losing a sense of baseline safety around what we can say, and how dangerous it is to share a point of view. I'm afraid we're losing a sense of confidence in the stability of our government, because of political violence and the fact that it's undeniable at this point that there's something going on with political violence where it is increasing. I remember not that long ago, it felt like in the headlines, political violence was a question. Are we entering
Mhm.
an era of political violence? And it's like, yes, we have entered an era of political violence.
Mm.
So the more that those kinds of things feel established, the more that people have to calibrate themselves to a new reality.
Mhm.
So I was also afraid that we are losing a sense of dependence on each other, that
Mhm.
people who disagree can still come together when it counts to protect what counts. And I'm afraid we're losing that confidence too, given everything. So those are three things.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it feels like it's something that I think that Manu said this. He wrote an article. I forget the publication. Um, we'll link it. But he said, like the kids on college campuses now that are reacting to this, running Bridge USA chapters, even just students in general, like they're becoming concerned for their own safety now, and that is driving people in the Bridge USA chapters to want to put together conversations. But I also think it's like it's driven people in the other way too, where there was a reaction almost from the left, not from the left, there was a reaction from people on the right that were saying like, when normal politics is done because Charlie Kirk was doing that and he was killed.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Mhm.
it just doesn't seem, and I'm wondering, how do we get the message of the bridge building community out to the people that have gone the other way? Like, really
Yeah.
hard. I think that was something that that was mentioned after the live stream that Braver Angels did on, I think it was the 14th. Um, which was like, I'm not sure if that was for us or if that was for the people that were not bought in. And I don't
Yeah.
know how
Exactly.
to translate, like going over that line is really tricky.
Yeah, agreed. Another thing that's buried itself in my heart is reading the news about Charlie Kirk's killer, and
Yeah.
that one of the messages that he sent his roommate, when the roommate asked, "Why did you do this?" one of his responses was, "Some hate can't be negotiated out."
Yeah.
And to me, that line implicates all of us, because
Yeah.
there are folks who increasingly believe that. Not to say that they believe people should be killed, But they increasingly believe that some hate can't be negotiated out, which is a way of saying, what's the point of dialogue? What's the point
Yeah.
of conversation if I judge the other person's views to be hateful? And so that leaves open a question. Then what do you do? Right? The most extreme and a very, very small and deviant set of people might say political violence. I'm not saying that that's what, people's general answer is, but I
Mhm.
think a lot of people are landing at that place that that you can't talk to hate. And because you can't talk to hate, what are you left with? And for a
Right.
lot of folks, the answer is hopelessness and despair. But at the very least, don't try to get me to talk to them. I'm not going to do it.
Right. Something that I believe you wrote about this in the book. It's obvious it's been a while since I fully read it, but I think, or you might have mentioned it somewhere else, which is that everyone has to be able to draw their own boundaries when bridging divides, because you don't want to burn yourself and you don't want to get burnt out on it. And that's something I was thinking about recently, was that, for example, like you said, the people that are saying, like, well, how do we, we can't negotiate with hate, we can't sit down and bridge divides whenever people have such strong, like, hateful feelings, is like, where does the bridge building movement draw its line between, and maybe this isn't like something that there needs to be a line for, maybe these things can exist at the same time, but is there a situation where the bridge building community is going to have to say, yes, we can bridge divides, but also now we have to maybe fight
Right.
a force that is trying to undermine democracy because we believe that this is a better way of doing things.
Right.
Do you think that that's a situation that we are maybe running into?
I think people think that's a situation we're running into, and so therefore we probably are.
Okay.
The question is, what is that fight, and what are the things worth protecting? When I look at the bridge building space in the last several months, I already see some of that happening, where
Mhm.
it's not just, hey everyone, here's skills for disagreement across the divide, here's more skillful conflict techniques, here's spaces to practice. I see the bridge building space being far more vocal about things like freedom of expression, about things like promoting and talking about the importance of an open forum. And in the past, I didn't see that much coming from those
Sure.
voices. So those things I think are happening. I think that, speaking as a member of the bridge building space, the line that feels impossible to cross while maintaining our goals is the partisan one, the partisan
Sure.
ideological one. That one feels that would undermine the goals.
Right. Right.
So, but that's the line that there's a lot of pressure to cross from the most partisan voices and some of the most terrified voices, which are often the same voices, are the ones going, no, 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 you need to stand up to that other side. You keep avoiding that. You got to do
Right.
that. So I don't know which fight you were thinking of, but when I think about the things that uphold our democracy, I don't want to go to a political side. That's not what I think is important. I do want
Sure.
to go very much to things like our freedom to disagree and our freedom to express ourselves. Our entire space relies on that ability to breathe and dialogue. Like, we're going to need those freedoms to be able to do it. So, of course, we need to fight for that. Um, and yeah, I mean, who knows, right? Who knows what's going to happen? There's a lot of things going on nationally that are testing the boundaries and the limits of the constitutional system. It
Mhm.
could all be fine at the end of it. I know there's plenty of folks who think like these are just the aggressive techniques that need to be made when things have gotten so out of hand, according to the way they see things. Or or we are slowly eroding the norms that have held us together for 250 years. Which is it? And there might be a tipping point where one of those becomes just an undeniable conclusion, in which case we'll see what happens, right? The bridging space is going to have to figure that out. I um I hope we stay vigilant, and I do hope that mm, we don't ever forget that our entire movement depends on certain freedoms, and we can't allow those freedoms to be eliminated. And we're going to have to be really, really vigilant about that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wasn't necessarily thinking a partisan like fight whenever I raised that question. I guess I was thinking more generally, like there would be people. I would like to think that there would be people in this movement, and I think just generally in the country, who, regardless of ideology, would say that it's, or would, I guess, feel that at some point there has to be not a stopping point, but there does have to be a bit of a line drawn between, yes, we can bridge divides and have conversations, but if there is a force that is threatening to undermine that and it looks like it's gaining traction, do we ever have to stop and
Oh,
say there is a different focus now?
yeah.
We have to now stop this thing from eroding our freedoms, like you said, because the space we're in requires those freedoms to happen.
Right. Well, I
Because
guess
I've
then
been
I would
struggling
ask
with
you
that.
what could supplant the practice of expression and dialogue as a way of defending and asserting those freedoms? Because as I think about it, and I've done a little bit of research just in the history of things like free speech, it seems to me that the best way to protect these freedoms is to practice them.
Yeah,
It just seems that's true. Um, so I can imagine a scenario where we add other tools to the toolbox and we take other actions. But I can't imagine a scenario where we say, you know what, this dialogue piece, let's put that on to the side while we do these other things. Um,
sure.
I think that's giving up the freedoms we're trying to protect. If we don't practice them, then they become that much more denormalized, and then people
Mhm.
give up the freedoms. And that's the other thing is I find that as a society we're scared of people taking away these freedoms, and what we don't ask ourselves is how we can be complicit in giving them up, how we
Right.
can actually
Yeah.
abandon them. We're
Yeah.
part of this too. So,
Yep.
things like being afraid of X, Y, or Z, when those fears might be overwrought, we begin to denormalize. We begin to unculture ourselves to the kind of dialogue
Right.
we deserve, right? So
Yeah.
I'm honestly more afraid of that in some ways because I think it's just so much harder for us to look inward, and kind of humbly ask ourselves how we uphold a democratic republic that we refuse to engage with. Do you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
And if we become too afraid or too sure that it's going to be useless, hurtful, painful, damaging, um, then I don't know. I see that as a very, very real possibility.
Yeah, I was just talking, and I think this is the same thing as what you're saying. I was just talking about this yesterday, is that all I see this current administration doing right now is just giving their ideological opponents every reason to do everything that they're doing
Mhm.
against them whenever they lose. Like, the speech restrictions are a big one. I think Ted Cruz even saying it. He was like, "Hey,
Oh
this
yeah.
is gonna be used against conservatives whenever we lose power."
Yep.
And I don't understand why this doesn't seem to be a pattern that very ideological movements recognize. Like,
I know.
you can't just take away because there's gonna be and I don't think people think about the day whenever you lose power. It's not a
Yeah.
day that anyone wants to think about. But in this system, you're going to lose power, and then if you have spent your whole time restricting people's speech and
Yeah.
policing the things that people can laugh at, well, that's gonna happen to you. It's and
Exactly.
that's the biggest thing that I see right now is that when Republicans lose, all
Yeah.
of this will be turned on conservatives, all of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then
Which
that
is even
just
more incentive for the party in power not to want to lose its power. So
right.
it's digging its own hole. It knows that. Now it has even more incentive to try to find some way to weasel out of that, right? And which is the scariest thing of all, I think we would all agree. So yeah, and you're right. This is a pattern, and it is a pattern that has repeated itself all around the world for hundreds of years. It's
And we
remarkable.
haven't figured it out.
I know. Or
Nobody's
rather,
figured it out.
I don't know. There's this show Battlestar Galactica. It's my favorite TV show of
I
all
watched
time.
it, like, in high school.
Yeah, it's so good. The new
It
version.
was really
And
good. Yeah.
one of the overriding themes of the show, which is a beautiful sci-fi epic, is that all this has happened before and all this will happen again. There
Yeah.
are certain tried and true lessons that it feels like we have to just learn over and over again. I don't know. I don't know why. It's
Yeah.
not like we don't have the histories. It's not like we
Right.
don't have the proof in the pudding of what has happened. We know. We know that, at least I know, and people might disagree, I know that you can't over police hate speech. You have to be really careful. You I know that you can't believe that words are violence because you'll end up undermining the power of dialogue. Like,
Yeah.
these things have been learned over and over, and we're back to a place where people, even the US Attorney General is saying, we're going to pass laws against hate speech. Like, she's talking about that. It's like, no,
Yeah.
no, no, that never works. That never
Right.
works.
Right.
It never
Yeah.
achieves the goals you want. It always gets
No.
turned against, it always gets abused by those in power. um oh my gosh, so just to see folks, for me it's like folks who ought to know better, whatever party they're in.
Yeah, yeah, right.
What
That's
is
what
this?
Tim Urban wrote about in What's Our Problem.
Mhm.
He said something like, whenever and I don't know anything about computers, I'm probably gonna butcher the specifics here, but he was saying, like, once you have an advance in technology, you don't really go back on that. Like, we're not gonna make computers with vacuum tubes ever again. But for some reason, these,
Yeah.
like, lessons of wisdom, we seem to lose them,
You lose
and we
them.
have to learn them over and over again.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem good because the stakes keep getting higher, but our ability
Exactly.
to retain the fact that you can't just it's not gonna work. Whatever the
Mhm.
Trump administration thinks they're going to do, it's not going to work.
And you know why I
And
think it happens, by the way? This is a complete speculative theory. I think it's because people weren't there. We can read the
yes,
stories from the
sure,
past, but if we
sure.
weren't there, it becomes too easy to think, "No, this time it's different. This time it's really different.
Yeah,
This time it's worse. There's more pain and there's more stakes." It's like, you weren't there. If you were there,
right.
you would know that no, 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 it was just as elevated. The anxiety was just as bad. It was probably even worse, frankly, because in past battles against free speech, people died like a lot.
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
Yeah,
people
right.
were incarcerated and like executed, and it was a lot worse, guys. So I don't know, but I think
Mhm.
people, we just have this egotism about the current moment. It's just a poison in humanity. We keep thinking what we are going through is so extraordinary that it demands trying all the things that didn't work before. They'll work now, and let's dig up the
Yeah,
theory about
yeah.
why they'll
Yeah,
work
right.
now and use them this time. And it's like, what? What do we
Yeah. Well,
think?
it seems to be I think, like I said, that's just something that everyone goes through. It's I don't know why. Maybe it's just because we are living through it. It does seem particularly, and I don't come on this show and, like, I don't bash ideologues. I just don't play that game, but truly, like, I don't know what Trump thinks is so different that he is just gonna do all these things that didn't work, and all of a sudden now they're gonna work.
Yeah,
I don't understand. Um, it feels pretty tough to cut through all of the noise, um, that just comes from media, just any form, on where we're at as a country in terms of the polarization stuff. Do you think that, I guess, maybe this question would be different if I asked it on September 9th? You know,
mm.
maybe the question is different. But do you think that we are, from what you've seen, better off or worse off than, like, 3 or 4 years ago, like 2021 or 2022?
In what way? What's
I
the
guess
metric?
on the yeah, well, that's a good question. I
Mm.
don't know exactly which metric to look at, but I guess just in terms of, like, how polarized it feels. Maybe
Oh,
this is more of just, like, a feeling question, because
yeah.
I always try to gauge my take on this based on what I see, like, with my own eyes.
Hmm.
But that's also, for me, it's a little different. Like, I am kind of in an echo chamber in a sense. Like, I go to Braver Angels debates, and I did the Bridge USA chapter in college, so I saw something different than just being in the world, like, going to spaces where maybe people disagreed with that mindset. It's kinda
Yeah.
tough to tell, like, where we actually are.
Yeah. No, it is. And I think it's important to highlight that when you're in the moment, it's very difficult to look at the moment objectively. I am in the moment too. I think it feels much, much worse than 3 or 4 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, I mean, we were still coming off, January 6th and 2020, and there were, I
Yeah.
think it feels much, much worse than 3 or 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And 3 or 4 years ago, I mean, we were still coming off, January 6th and 2020, and
Yep.
It's not like it was that much better. It wasn't. But
No. No.
but I think that there was a survey, I think it was a New York Times Siena poll, but it showed a remarkable percentage of people who appear to believe that we are just plain incapable of solving our problems because of the level of division. That I think is new, where
Right.
some of this hopelessness and despair has solidified. It's less of a question and more of a fact for people. It's not a fact
Mhm.
for me.
Right.
Like, I think
Yeah.
that's wrong,
But I
but
think
I
culturally
understand the argument is harder
yeah,
to make.
sure. Yeah, it does kind of feel like it's like culturally that's where we're headed to.
Yeah,
We're almost headed to like a societal gridlock. It's that was only a word that I ever heard used for like Congress, for example, that kind of stuff. But and now it does kind of feel like like the culture is getting really like we have to communicate. We're stuck on a rock.
yeah,
We have to just be able to talk to each other. It doesn't
we
mean
have to.
that, and I guess, and maybe just people feel like talking to people that they disagree with is going to like downplay or whitewash their disagreements with that person, even though I don't think that it has to.
Nope.
Um,
Yeah, but there's very few models of that, so people don't see
yeah.
it. And I but here's the thing, is on the other side of all of that, I'm gonna contradict myself and say that in a particular way, we are better off than we were 3 or 4 years ago, and that is that there is far more awareness of, like, how dire the consequences of failed capacity for dialogue are. There's
Mhm.
far more awareness of that. There's far more urgency among those folks who can reach for it to heal via channels of dialogue. Far more. It's
Yeah.
remarkable. Just in the last month, the level of interest. It's just
Yeah.
um in that sense, 3 to 4 years ago, there were more delusions about what was really going on.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And like, "Oh, all we have to do is wait for the next election, everything will get better, everything will get fixed." But this
Yeah.
is now, the umpteenth election that feels so enmeshed in the dynamics of polarization that something is just broken, and so I think it is also harder to argue that, all this stuff about us needing to get into disagreements or whatever, it's Pollyannish, and we don't really need to do it. Everything's fine. I think that
Yeah.
argument is getting harder to make. So at least there's more of an emphasis on, no, 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 these are truly the things we need to do. And these are truly the things we need to demand from our elected leaders. And these are
Yeah.
truly the things we need to demand from our storytellers and our media ecosystem. All that's become more sure. And that's good. The big question is, will any rocket coming off of that launch pad be strong enough to,
Mhm.
wreck whatever monsters are emerging or are already
Yeah.
here? And I think
Yeah.
that's the ultimate question. But I don't know. But for me, there's a dimension on which all of this is quite simple and accessible, just because the thing that I see is that it's about being aware of your own agency as an individual. And there's so many people, I think, who, for a bunch of reasons, just don't believe in that sense of agency in themselves, or haven't practiced
Yeah.
enough of it to see what's really possible. And it honestly doesn't even take that much. It just doesn't take that much to begin to walk
Mhm.
that path. And then once you begin to walk that path, there's parts of it that become kind of addictive. Like, Bridge USA,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Disagreement can be fun, which seems blasphemous. You're not supposed to say that. Disagreement's supposed to
Mhm.
be a slog. It's supposed to be horrible and harmful
Yeah.
and painful, and only the strongest survive. And you know what? That's really over. That's exaggerated. It's
Yeah,
it's
I think
really not
so.
that at all.
Yeah, I remember I had someone tell me, I don't remember what year it was of college. It was like early on, someone told me polarization wasn't that big of a deal, and I was like, "I don't know about that."
Yeah.
It seems like a bit, and I don't think anyone would say that now. Like you said, I don't think that there's as much of people saying that. anymore.
Exactly. It's affecting everyone. And now we're in, a government shutdown, and
Yeah.
every time I look at the headlines, there is not a ray of hope. And I'm like, "Geez."
No, it's the
It's like,
dumbest headlines I've ever read in my life.
it's so terrible.
They're so s th it's the dumbest. Yeah, yeah,
I I had to
they're
do
like, "We don't
this.
actually have anything to figure out."
I know.
There's
We're just playing our parts now. Everyone watch the show. And I'm like, how much more of
Hakeem
this are we
Jeffries is
all
gonna
gonna
s
sit back and stand? It's remarkable. The vacancy of leadership. So I have to say
Yeah,
this because I saw this,
yeah.
I forget, some news site had some galleries up, it was day 2 or 3 of the shutdown, and they had the Republican leader behind a podium, and in front of the podium was a sign that said, "The Democrats shut down." "This is the Democrats shut down."
Yeah.
And then they had another photo with the Democratic leadership behind podium
Oh, I
with the sign in
yeah, I
front
saw
of the
you
podium that said,
posted that, I saw you
"This is the
posted
GOP
that.
shutdown." And I was like, "You know what you 2 are? Children. You are
Yeah, right.
children. You are my 2 kids pointing at each other. You are not leaders." And I had this whole rant about this. It was just like, "You expect me to think of you as a leader when all you
Yeah,
can do is blame the other side? Are you kidding me?
yeah,
That's high
yeah.
school. Grow up." Like,
Yeah, I
we're
yeah.
not paying, as taxpayers for you all to sit in DC and, like, follow a script. "Oh, I'm sorry, it's the other side. This is
No.
terrible." Excuse me, like, what is this? This is insane.
Yeah,
So I want, like,
yeah.
rage against that because I feel
Yeah,
it.
no, I agree because Mike Johnson's like, "There's actually nothing to negotiate," and then Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are gonna send their 18th strongly worded letter of the week, which the which I'm like, can you guys do something, please?
Yeah,
Can there be something done?" Okay,
horrifying.
well, since we kinda brought this up, I don't know if you saw this, I just saw this last night, even though I guess it's already a couple days old on ground news. That's how, like, I guess, out of sync I am with things coming out. But there was a Gallup poll, and if there's space on the screen, we'll try to fit it in so we can show
Okay,
the chart. New Gallup poll, trust in the media is at a new all-time low.
great.
Again, another new all-time low.
We've been saying that for 20
20
years.
Yeah, I know, quite literally it has. I looked at the data, it's like 20 years of decline, and and so
Sometimes you
my
just have to laugh, you know?
I
You
do
just
laugh
have to
at it.
laugh.
Well, I laugh at it because I don't does no one care? Is there no force strong enough to, like, fix this? Like, for 20 years, it's just been going down and the distrust is going up, and is there no focus? And so I was thinking last night, I was like, "Why are we losing?" Because I you're a journalist, I am more on the production side, but, like, I am also a member of the media. I
Mhm.
love saying that. I'm a member of the media, it just seems so funny to me. I
Here's
was
my
gonna wear a shirt
card.
when I was at Point Park, I really did consider this. I was gonna walk into, like, one of, like, my media classes with a "Defund the Media" shirt on because I thought that'd be very funny, and none of my friends, no one would have laughed at that except for me. I thought it'd been funny.
Defund the
But
meter.
yeah, I was just gonna wear a
Right.
defund, but then, whatever. Made my podcast "Defund the Media" shirt. Maybe I'll still do it. Maybe I'll show up. But
I
I'm
like that.
wondering, like, why, and I just kept thinking, like, why are we losing? Because, last time you were on the show, I'd said, like, I think the burden of responsibility is always on us to earn the trust of the American people. It's not their fault that they don't trust us, that's our fault, we haven't earned their trust.
Yeah.
And do you think, and I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on this, but I'm wondering, is this just something that happens every time there's a big technology shift, and this is just something that's inevitable?
Mhm.
Or is this a failure of media practitioners to adapt to what's new? Or is it that or is it that we've lost the plot on what
Mm.
our role is? And
I think
is
it's
is
all
it some
3.
combination of all 3?
Definitely some combination of all 3. And I would add a 4th, which is there are cultural forces too complicated for us to understand or untangle that are
Yep.
at work that no one
Yeah.
of us can control, that have created an incredible amount of turbulence in our society.
Yes.
And to try to keep up with that, catch up with that, is almost impossible for any institution,
Yeah.
which is part of why institutions are also suffering a crisis in general. There's so much change happening so quickly, with origins in so many different places, and it's all kind of combining. And at the end of the day, we need time to reacquaint ourselves with where
Yeah.
we are. It's just the world doesn't sit still long enough for us to do that. It's not going to ever. And yet, when you look in the past, it's not like there haven't been periods of grand turbulence before. We come through
Mhm.
them with scars. We do.
Yeah.
One way or another, we come through them with scars. So I think that's what's happening now. We're getting our scars. We'll come through one way or another. What things will look like on the
Right.
other side, who knows? But what I do know is the kids who grow up in that world will think that world is normal and it will feel more
Yeah.
stable than
Okay.
the world does to us. So
That's
it'll always
interesting, yeah.
feel more known and stable, right? Um, anyway, but that's a grand philosophical answer to your question. And as far as what journalists can do, I am about to go to a journalism conference that's wonderful. It's been around for a long time and it brings together lots of thought leaders in the media space. And I'm very excited to hear how everybody's seeing everything, because I think
Yeah.
that's what we need to do as journalists is get really brave about our perceptions. Wherever you happen to be, when you come together, be real. Talk about what you're
Yep.
afraid of. Talk about what
Yeah.
you're excited about. We need to connect as people in this institution to reshape the institution constantly. And it's
Mhm.
it's a weird process. There's problems with that process. The
Yep.
biggest problem, and and I can admit to this for sure, is that at the conferences I go to with media practitioners, it's very politically one-sided. It's not usually about politics, but so many of the media folks who are there just happen to lean left. And so
Right.
the disruptions that have come to trust and institutional steadiness from the fact of our political polarization don't get a really robust exploration because we're
Yeah.
all seeing it from our own experience on one side. That's starting to change, but I still feel like these conferences have too many sort of token right leaning media folks. So it's token. It's like, no, no,
Oh,
no.
yeah,
We're
sure.
not going to
Sure.
fix it until we make some more connections ourselves within our industry to folks who are in our industry but see the world a different way. And we're not doing a very good job of that. And I think that the institution of journalism has become so uniform um, in the through the tech era, like the early
Yep.
2000s and everything. It just became so uniform, and too many of us are too alike. You know, we all live in
Yep.
the big cities and all look at the world a certain way, and we're the ones with the power and the voice about what journalism even is. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So it's become just way too insular, and we don't know how to fix that because it gets in the way of our sort of professional ambitions and our
Yep.
identities as professionals. So
Yeah.
there's a whole host of issues there, but I'm looking forward to the conference to see if we can still move forward on that.
Yeah, hopefully there's something that comes out of that. It does, and I think I said this, like, towards, like, when I was graduating, it really does feel like I would really, I think, like to see us just give up the 24-hour news cycle, even if it was just for, like, a month.
That'd be nice.
Just give it up, because I think that's one of the reasons why
Yeah,
some of the more, like, legacy sources are failing to adapt is because they don't have the resources to think 5 years ahead. They're too busy thinking about 5 hours ahead
that's right.
for what the next story is. There's not enough of a foresight. So, and we just found out that Paramount is no, I'm sorry, CBS is, I think that's also Paramount. I don't even know who owns who. I think they're all owned by,
Paramount owns
who knows.
CBS, so I guess
Paramount, yeah.
technically,
Yeah.
yes.
So CBS is buying the Free Press.
Yep.
Barry Weiss is going to be an editor in chief of CBS. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. Um, I have mixed feelings on the Free Press, but
Mhm.
hopefully they can help CBS transition into maybe more of a new media format, which could
Mhm.
help bring some legitimacy to that and maybe restore some trust.
Mhm.
Or it goes the other way and the Free Press gets kind of gutted by this,
Yeah.
which I think would be upsetting. I'm kind of more thinking that I'm less optimistic maybe than I should be,
Mhm.
but we'll see.
Yeah.
Um,
I was surprised, honestly. Maybe I shouldn't have been. But I looked at the Free Press and Barry Weiss's whole story as creating something from the ground up that would be large and in charge on its own. So the fact that she
yep.
sold to such a legacy brand got me kind of scratching my head. I thought we were on a different
I
storyline.
am too. I am
Yeah,
too. I was a little honestly, a little disappointed by it because I've just grown up in a media landscape where if you just have enough money, you can, and maybe it's always been like this, but, like, you can just buy
yeah,
anything you want, and the FCC doesn't seem to care. Doesn't seem to be like, "No, well, we're gonna stop you from doing that merger because you own 78% of the market." And then there's some, like, media executive in a boardroom that's never written an article, and he's like, "But why can't I own 99% of the market?" And
yeah.
then
Jeez.
and it's just like,
Uh,
okay, so now the free press, which was like the one example of it was like the example almost of the new media business model that got
yep.
really big. Is like, well, now that's being sold to Paramount.
Yeah, it's being eaten up by the big guys, and, that's
It's being, yeah,
I mean, now we, yeah. But it may yeah, I think you're right that it could go one way or the other. Barry has already proven that she's not daunted by establishment and institutional weight.
yeah,
She
that's
got out of the
true.
New York Times, she wrote that resignation letter, she did not hold back, she built her own empire. I very much doubt that CBS is going to have an easy time, not that they want to, having her fall in line to something. They probably really do want
Right.
her to come in and shake things up because I don't know that she would accept it any other way.
That's a
But
good point.
we'll see. So yeah, I'm that part of it is exciting to me just because I think we need people who can shake it up. And she certainly has shown that.
Okay. One last question because we are getting close to time
Yeah.
here. So one last question, and then we're gonna go to the rapid fire. And sorry, but we've been a bit all over the place here. I didn't get to
Yeah.
half the questions I wrote down, but
I'm sorry. It's been fun.
no, it's been fun.
We even had a little
Um,
laugh riot in the middle. It was great.
we did. If tomorrow you could sit down with Donald Trump, what would you ask him? And is
I've
there
been
anything
asked a
you would
version.
tell him?
Yeah, yeah, I've been asked a version of this question many times, and I every now and then I'm like, I don't know, in bed or in the shower, and I think
Yeah,
about it, and I'm like, I have no idea. I It's so hard to believe that that would even ever happen, and it's so hard to
yeah,
believe that he would be there open to a question I would ask. It's easier to believe that he would be in there with an agenda for me, and what the heck would that agenda be? I can't imagine.
right,
Um,
right, right.
what would I ask him? Was that
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I
I would
guess yeah,
probably
that's a good point. It seemed like an interesting question, but honestly, yeah, I'm not even sure that he would answer it. Assuming he would answer it, assuming he was actually willing to give you like an honest answer.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, so kind of lie detector Trump is right there in front of
Yes,
me?
yeah, 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 yeah. Trump's hooked up to the lie detector. We gave him the truth serum, I guess,
Yeah, I would ask
and
him,
he's hooked. Yeah,
um, deep down, what is driving your energy,
yeah,
um, as president
sure.
right now? Deep down, what is really driving it? What do you really want more than anything? That's what I would ask him.
Okay,
Uh,
well, I w uh, he would probably say, I don't know. I shouldn't say anything there. That would
yeah,
might
who
be
knows?
helpful.
I mean, if it was a lie detector and he had to tell the truth, then that would be a very, very interesting. The man is on in years. It's his second term. He did a political comeback. That's undeniable. And he has an amount of energy in the executive that has
I
not been seen
know.
in my lifetime.
Yeah,
Like the amount of work and efforts and here, 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 here. It's like the man
yeah.
doesn't sleep.
No,
And
I'm not sure.
I want to know what charges that battery. I really do because I think that
Right.
that would give everyone a look in that we just haven't gotten.
Yeah, he only takes a break to go walk up to the roof of the White House
Uh-huh.
and talk to the press about the
Yeah,
ballroom that he is gonna make,
yeah, like, what's
I
really
guess.
at the end of the day in it for him? What's really driving him?
Yeah, that is a good point. Okay, maybe we have time for one more, and then we'll do the rapid fire
Okay.
stuff.
By the way,
This is a good
the
one.
light is getting weird. Hopefully it's
Oh, it'll be
did
fine.
I do anything? Okay,
No,
it's a
no,
little
but it
late.
looks fine. It
Okay.
looks fine.
The
No
sun is
problem.
in my eyes now. That's fine. We'll deal with it. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no.
Lightning
Um,
round.
okay, so a real quick one before we go to lightning round. Do you have any thought? Because on that Brave Angels live stream on the 14th, our friend Manu Meal talked about the idea of outrageously bridge building. What's
Yes.
very interesting is that I had friends in the space that were not on that call. that heard that word pop up
Yeah.
in over the next days, it's really remarkable how fast his word travels
Yeah.
and
That's
how it just permeates, like, everybody, like, everyone was talking about it.
yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on how we this might be way too big of a can of worms to open up with only, like, 20 minutes left, but do you have any thoughts on how we might go about doing this? How do
I
we sorta,
think
like, game
yeah,
the algorithm?
I think that outrageously bridge building could have a feature, a piece of that, that is more people disagreeing in public.
Mhm.
100% disagreement. Not polite disagreement with a tie on and a smile on your face. I mean
Right.
100%. So, I've thought
Sure.
about this. I've thought about and in fact, I already have plans in the works to record a disagreement with someone who is completely on the other side politically from me, and to work on having that disagreement as if no one is listening. In other words, with
Sure.
ultimate freedom, because
Yeah.
that's what I think it's going to take to defend the freedoms to do it. So I'm feeling like I want to do that, and I want to give people the ability to listen in, and I want more people to do that with each other. And what that means is flying in the face of the fear of being judged for what I believe, flying in the face of the fear of how I might offend or hurt the other person in the course of trying to
Mhm.
say what I mean, flying in the face of the fear of being like canceled, ostracized by my own side, um, and all of it, of saying the wrong thing, of putting
Yep.
it this way instead of that way. I want to put myself in places where I think we should all put ourselves in places where we're gonna hurt each other. How's that for
Mm.
radical?
That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's the other
Yeah.
thing that we forget, Carson, is this is not supposed to be polite society for crying out loud. But it kinda we've gotten away with that for a while, right?
Mhm.
And so our
Yeah.
models for bridge building have been just, like, too nice. They've been too fricking polished. It's
Oh,
not
that's
real.
interesting. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that is
So
sure.
yeah, so when Manu talks about outrageously bridge building, that's what I think of. Is like, can we please just all take the ties off? And yes, many of us come from sort of
Mm.
nonprofits and the philanthropic space, and we go meet funders and we look nice. And like, that's not that's not what this is really about. Um,
Yeah, and that's interesting 'cause that's also I think maybe, like, the biggest critique that I hear of us from the left is, like, the politeness
yeah,
in a way feels like it
not real.
downplays how real our disagreements are.
Exactly.
That's really
Exactly.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and what it really looks like and feels like. And we just need to let that show. Because if we don't let that show, people forget that it's recoverable. That when you hurt each other,
Right.
you can repair. What a concept.
Yeah,
That
right.
people can still, I don't know. There's all of these things that we have that make it possible for us to go to the dark and angry places and survive.
Yep.
And I think we're gonna need to go to the dark and angry places. I mean, that's where we go in
Mm.
our heads, and if we can't get out of our heads and talking to each other about those things, then we're just posing.
Right. Ooh. Okay, I like
That's
that.
okay.
Okay, rapid fire round. Short answers, doesn't have to be one word,
Okay.
unless there is just one
My
word,
best.
but short. Okay.
Fine.
What is something you're grateful for today?
The sun, which is currently in my face, but it's nice because 'cause I'm in Seattle. Go ahead.
Yes. What is a sound, a smell, or a song that instantly takes you home?
Mm. Handy snacks. Do you remember handy
What are
snacks?
No, what are those?
No, that's right, you're much younger than me. They're these little packets with crackers and a little tiny red paddle and a little bit of very fake cheese, and I would have them in 1st grade in my lunchbox every day. The
Okay, yeah.
smell of handy snacks
Yeah.
is I don't
I've
know, it just takes me to childhood.
I've seen a version of those.
Mhm.
What is one piece of advice you want more people to ignore? Or
The
what's a piece of bad
bridges
advice?
yeah, the bridges may the bridges I burn light my way.
Mm, okay, yep. If you could bottle one feeling and give it to everybody on Earth, what would it be?
Gratitude.
And this is a new thing I'm doing. What is a question you would like me to ask the next guest in their
Mm.
rapid fire round?
When is the last time you openly disagreed with someone and talked about the disagreement for more than 10 minutes?
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. Monica, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. And thank you for everything you're doing.
Yeah, you too. This was a really fun conversation. I
I'm
really,
glad you
really
enjoyed it.
enjoyed it. It was great.
All
All right.
right.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you later.